that GMOs should be banned from being sold in the United States because of the various effects that it has, such as effects on the environment, on people, and other unknown things. So my first statement is that the effects that GMOs have on the environment, it does not as much as he says it is. There is no denying the fact that pesticides do cause environmental harm, no matter if it's GM related or not. The state of the matter is that all pesticides are negative. However, it's been shown that there has been a decrease in pesticide use when using a GM crop. Furthermore, there has been other environmental effects that he did not state that GM has positive effects on. According to Literal Andy, from a writer from Suite 101, GM technology has had considerable economic and environmental effects between 1996 and 2004, bringing about $27 billion directly to farms and by reducing pesticide use by 172 million kilograms, resulting in a 14% reduction in pesticide-associated environmental footprint and in reducing greenhouse emissions by over 10 billion kilograms, as much as removing 5 million cars from the earth per year. Most people know the world itself is having an issue with carbon emissions, so GMOs will help with that. Another thing my opponent stated was that GMOs themselves have been said to give humans health defects. He said that there has been some cases where people have been allergic to GMOs and that GMOs themselves have been are the reasons why there has been a rise in allergies. However, Melanie Thurmstrom, a writer for the New York Times, wrote that there is no real explanation for why there has been a rise in GMOs. There was usually the idea that, not the rise of GMOs, the rise of allergies. The idea that she says is most common is that it's in relation to the modern obsession with sanitation that prevents children from being exposed. But most people don't realize this is also wrong. His hypothesis that GMOs cause allergies is false because, among other things, it turns out, according to Melanie, that allergies are rising worldwide, from Rio de Janeiro to Shanghai in Europe and Britain, across all these different environments that have a range of sanitary conditions. There are all these different children who live in places that have GMO, that don't have GMO, that are getting allergies. That would simply not make sense. Turns out many children have allergies because it's a genetic thing. Because it's from environmental things such as smoking, from anything. Secondly, the government would tell people if GMOs would cause allergies. Keith Schneider from the University of Florida wrote that the potential for GM foods to cause allergic reactions is the most obvious health concern associated with these products. The FDA has put measures into place to prevent such a scenario by requiring that each producer of GM food product present scientific evidence that they have not incorporated any allergic substance into their product. If this evidence cannot be produced, the FDA requires a liquid to be put on the product to other consumers. So a lot of people will be told whether or not it has something that would cause that. So another thing that my opponent was saying, that the fact of GMO in nature itself, that putting a gene into a different organism could be a negative thing. However, what most people don't know is that their genes move between organisms all the time. Michael Einstein, from a biologist at UC Berkeley, stated that there are countless examples of genes moving naturally between species. Microorganisms swap DNA all the time. Our own genome contains genes that got their start in bacteria. So there is obviously a relatively low rate of such horizontal gene transfer in multicellular organisms like plants and animals. So basically, there's almost no harm in GMOs in nature because there's not going to suddenly have plants get into there. Thirdly was GMO is unnatural. So GMO takes place all the time, whether it's in the laboratory or not. Again, Michael Einstein says that the transformation of wild plants and animals into the foods we eat today is by far the single most dramatic experiment in genetic engineering the human species has undertaken. So over all the time that humans have been doing agriculture, they have been taking an experiment in genetic modification itself. We have been changing plants. The corn plant that we know of as today did not look like its natural ancestor. Its ancestor, the one that we derive it from, looks like more like a grassy bush. Thirdly, if we were to get rid of GMOs at all, we would have to get rid of almost everything we eat. Many of the fruits and vegetables that we consume already are generated through techniques such as selective breeding and hybridization of crops. So basically, if we have GMOs, it just speeds up the process. If we were to get rid of genetically modified crops, we would have to get rid of a variety of the different dairy products we eat. Keith Schreiner states that 90% of the hard cheeses we eat are made using genetically modified enzymes that come from a genetically modified source. And obviously the FDA has approved of that.